Conlon.
Speaker. I'd like to begin by thanking my honourable friend, the member for Norwich South. I know my constituents in Beckenham and Penge will want to thank him for raising these issues addressed in the debate today. Madam Speaker, I'd like to begin by talking about the recent 5-day water ordeal my constituents were subjected to by Thames Water. On the evening of Tuesday the 11th of February, a mains water pipe burst up the road from me in Dulwich, South London. Overnight, thousands of homes, hundreds of businesses, 11 care homes and 29 schools all lost access to their water. 6 London postcodes were affected in all, including 2 in my constituency. The next day, residents in Annerley, Crystal Palace and Penge in my constituency woke up without any water. In response, Thames Water established a bottled water centre at Bell Green, Sainsbury's. And for those of you who are not familiar with South East London geography, whilst it's located in a lovely part of my honourable friend, the member for Lewisham East constituency, ironically adjacent to the Pool River and Waterlink Way, it's also up to an hour's walk away for some of those in my constituency who were left without water. This was an unacceptable solution, but one which could have been easily avoided. And later that evening, they managed to make things even worse. The Seoul water bottle station was closed due to a security incident, leaving residents reliant on local supermarket stocks. Unsurprisingly, these ran dry pretty quickly, and whilst the water bottle station did later reopen, Thames Water, despite my offer of support and the offer of support from other members in this House, refused to open an alternative site closer to the outage. Despite some constituents still not having any water by the start of the weekend, they had now been left without water since Tuesday evening. This included vulnerable customers who could not be expected to leave their homes, never mind walk for an hour. Those residents are entitled to sign up to what's called the Priority Services Register. Residents on the PRS should receive deliveries of bottled water, as well as additional support and communications from Thames Water. Yet throughout the outage, I received contacts from constituents on the PSR who were not receiving any of this help on time. Some of them were receiving no help at all. So along with local volunteers, my team and I knocked on hundreds of doors across the local area, including on the evening of Valentine's Day, which, as someone pointed out, might be the reason I'm still single. To those who might need additional help, and then delivered bottled water to them all over the weekend. This included residents who were pregnant, disabled, and some who were terminally ill. One constituent story sticks in my mind particularly. A disabled single mum of 2, reliant on oxygen, was left without water for days, without any support or emergency deliveries from Thames Water, and the compensation she has received for this failure is a £40 goodwill payment. And whilst I would like to thank every volunteer who helped with this effort, it should never have been necessary. It was Thames Water who had a responsibility to safeguard vulnerable customers and a responsibility to provide alternative sources of water. And this week, the Honourable Member, my old friend for Lewisham West and East Dulwich, met with Thames Water to talk to them about the water outage and some of the lessons they could learn from it. And one of the points I made to them was, this isn't like COVID where it kind of sprung up without any warning. Burst water pipes happen all the time, and communication, frequent and consistent communication, is a pretty standard thing that constituents and customers are entitled to expect. But I don't mention this just to highlight the unjust plight of my constituents, because their experience also embodies the failure of the water system highlighted in my honourable friend, the member for Norwich South's bill, a failure of the previous government to drive investment in the system and an abdication of their responsibility to regulate. A failure to maintain, invest and build has led to an aching system, a system in which over 50% of Thames Water's sewage treatment plants have inadequate capacity, and where in 2024 alone, Thames Water discharged raw sewage into rivers for nearly 300,000 hours. And all the while, this failure is rewarded. In 2023-24, it paid executive bonuses worth over £1.3 million, a reward for the failed management, aided and abetted by the previous Conservative government, which has left an investment shortfall of £24 billion. And who picks up the tab for this shortfall? It is our constituents, left to pay the price of failure, and some quite literally seeing their bills double. I don't dispute that investment is needed, but this must never be allowed to happen again. And I'm also really pleased to see the immediate action that this government is taking, including bringing criminal charges against persistent lawbreakers, giving regulators the power to ban executive bonuses, introducing severe and automatic fines for offences, and ring-fencing money for vital infrastructure investment. But I also want to talk about a lesser-known reform surrounding compensation, the Guaranteed Standard Scheme. Admittedly, not a document I had familiarised myself with before constituents were left without water, but is where the minimum compensation rates for water outages are laid out. My constituents last month were entitled to a measly £30 for each 12-hour period they were left without water, or just a £25 one-off payment for low pressure. The reason this is so low is those rates were last updated in the year 2000. And so I am glad that this government have acted to finally reassess those rates. New plans mean that low pressure incidents could see payments of up to £250, a 1,000% increase, and payments for water outages will rise to £50 plus an additional £50 for every 12 hours the incident is unresolved. I am pleased our new government is acting quickly to fairly compensate those who suffer from water outages in the future. And Madam Deputy Speaker, reforms to our water system and this debate today are not just about security of supply, but about protecting our waterways and coasts too. And that is something my constituents deeply value, and that I do too. During my campaign to come to this place, I invited Fergal Sharkey, the prominent water campaigner and one-time frontman of the Undertones, to visit Cater Park and the small stream of Chaffinch Brook in my constituency. We visited the Friends of Cater Park and Alexandra Rec, an organisation that do so much for the park. They and all of the environmental campaigners I have met in my constituency understand that our waterways are a crucial part of our environment and play an irreplaceable role in sustaining our biodiversity. And I've been most impressed in my constituency, and I'll just finish on this, by so many of the young people I've met on school visits, engaging with young people across Beckenham and Penge. I know how much this issue matters to the next generation. And I'll give you two examples. I was contacted recently by Daniel, a Year 12 student and a member of the Langley Park School for Boys Environmental Society. He, along with others, had used their own initiative to contact me for help with exploring funding opportunities for their biodiversity scheme. As a society, they are determined to support wildlife in and around their school and across our constituency. They had already organised a clothes swap and bake sale to raise funds to do so, and I look forward to meeting with them soon. And I met recently too with the fabulous Eco Council at Stuart Fleming Primary School, who displayed a real care for the environment, not just preserving it for themselves, but for the generation after them too. They are now working closely with the Friends of Betts Park, helping to ensure that this remains an attractive place for people to visit, including the short section of the Croydon Canal, which lays within the park. I'd also like to thank and commend so many other schools across Beckenham and Penge who have active eco-councils. They are often now alongside school councils, something that every primary school has, including Clare House, Churchill's Primary, Balgowan, St Mark's Primary, Shortlands Primary, and many others. And the Beckenham Scouts on Wednesday evening this week, I went and visited Beckenham Scouts, fantastic group of young people. We played a game where they set their own budget and what they would spend and prioritise as if they were Chancellor, and the environment always came out as one of the top priorities. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, I hope that members have seen that we don't just have some fantastic waterways in South East London, but the reforms to our water system, which I know the Honourable Member for Norwich South has been pivotal in pushing for, are crucial not just to protecting consumers and constituents, but to protecting our national heritage and environment too, something which I know is held dearly by every generation in Beckenham and Penge. Thank you.